Welcome to the 2015 Hyundai Genesis, a car whose size and features rival that of a BMW 5 Series, but whose price is more in line with a 3 Series. Let's take an in-depth look at the features of this vehicle and try to find out where exactly this falls in the lineup. Can this car truly compete with the likings of a BMW 5 Series, or is this more of just a larger variation of a BMW 3 Series? Let's start by exploring the interior. First off, on the driver's side, to the left, you have 2-position memory seating up here next to a speaker grill here, which houses the tweeter. The speaker system in this vehicle is a Lexicon system, which is unique to the Hyundai brand, but overall, despite being kind of a foreign name, it is actually a pretty good system. At high volumes, it does lack a little bit of bass, but it makes up for it with extreme clarity and great mids and highs. Overall, the system sounds great. Down below here you have your mirror settings, so you can fold it in. Auto mode will fold in your mirrors when the car is turned off and you walk away and lock the vehicle. The mirrors will automatically fold in. Or all the way to the left just keeps the mirrors out all the time. And then you have your power mirror adjustments here for the left and right mirror. And those settings are also saved by the memory seats. And then you have your lock, unlock, and child lock for the rear windows. And then down here, all 4 windows are fully automatic. So just a full press down or full pull up will raise or lower the window. Overall, the doors are finished very nicely, wrapped in leather and nice soft touch materials with some genuine wood inserts, a nice glossy finish. Overall, a very nice, timeless look. Then coming across here, we have a vent for the AC system. And then down here we have a few different options. The first is to control the brightness of the instrument cluster. Then you can open your gas cap. Then this button here is to enable or disable your lane tracking. So up here in the top left there's that icon. So when it's on, it'll show that icon up there. And what this system does is vibrate the steering wheel and then show a notification up here on the screen when it senses that you are drifting out of your lane. Next button here is for the rear visor. So as we press that, you can see the rear visor comes up and it can be lowered back down. There's also a button for this in the rear seats, so the rear passengers can control it on their own. Here you can disable traction control, you can turn on or off blind spot monitoring, and then you can pop the trunk. And here you have your electronic parking brake, along with your hood release down here by the false pedal. Coming across the gauges here, we have a pretty typical setup where you have your tachometer on the left and speedometer on the right. But in the center here, we have a nice large digital display. So that display is controlled primarily through this button here. So this will switch through different menus up there each time you press it. So you can track information like where you're sitting in the lane. You can see your media information. You can switch through different items to see different tire pressure. You can set service reminders, things like that. And then also the settings for the vehicle can be controlled through here. And then scrolling through this list is done by this wheel here. And then you just press in to select any of those options. So it's a very simple, intuitive system, which is easily controlled without having to be focused on where your hand is on the steering wheel. Just very simple laid out, easy to use, and very intuitive. So as you can see on the screen right now, this car averages 24 miles per gallon, which is a pretty adequate number. It's not the most fuel efficient vehicle by any means, but given the size and the weight of this vehicle, I think that's a very respectable number for being mostly city driving. This car is rated at 18 miles per gallon in the city and 29 on the highway. Gets a pretty good mix. That highway miles per gallon is really helped out by the 8-speed transmission, which is actually a Hyundai source transmission. It's built in-house. It's not a ZF based transmission as you might expect, being that's an 8-speed. Overall, it does handle pretty well. It's not quite as refined as a ZF, but it does shift very smoothly and handles very well. Sometimes on downshifts, it doesn't quite shift into the gear you need if you're trying to hit the throttle a little bit, but overall, a very good transmission. But we will talk about that in more detail when we go on a test drive. So finally, to finish up on the steering wheel, we have a beautiful Genesis emblem here with some nice blue inlays and the shield there. This is really finished off very, very nice. So on the left side of the steering wheel here, we have our voice commands. One thing to note with this vehicle is that the voice commands are handled by Siri. If you connect an Apple iPhone with Bluetooth to the head unit, it'll actually activate Siri, so you can use Siri to call people, send text messages, set reminders, anything that you can normally use Siri for. So that's nice, so you don't have to use a built-in one. Then mode will switch through your media modes. You have a volume scroll wheel on the left here, and just click in to mute. And then your seek track buttons, pick up and hang up for your phone. Then over here on the other side, to finish up the buttons we didn't talk about, we have our cruise control. So here you can activate to turn on cruise control. You can set your speed up and down manually here, and then you can use this button here to adjust your follow distance, as this car does have adaptive cruise control. And then here is just your cancel to exit out of the cruise control mode. Then all your light controls are actually handled on this stalk here. So you have automatic, you have LED daytime running lights and parking lights. And this car is also equipped with automatic high beams. So you can flick on the high beams here and it'll tell you auto up there, and that will light up blue when your high beams are on, but otherwise your high beams will stay off. So it's a really nice system, as it will detect when there are cars and it will decide whether or not you can have your high beams on, and you don't have to worry about managing that on your own. And then over here you have automatic rain sensing wipers along with your turn signal. So if you pull this stalk, it will show on the screen what setting you're in too, so you don't have to be trying to peek over the steering wheel to see that text. So all the way up will turn it off. You can flick it down once for auto mode. Very, very nice that it shows up on the screen there as well. So now coming across here, we have your engine start stop button and the nice large touchscreen display up here, centered between two vents for the AC system, which is again wrapped by nice soft touch materials up top and genuine wood with the hazards down here in the middle. So quickly taking a quick tour of this system, it's a very, very intuitive system with a very nice responsive touchscreen. So here is our home menu. We can hit all menus to see a bunch of different options. From there you can get anywhere you need within the menu, such as radio, music. If you're plugged in with USB, you get some different options, or you have auxiliary there. Pandora is built into this too, so you can pull up Pandora, sync it with your phone, and get to all your different playlists and channels through the app, which is really nice. There's also a navigation system built into this. So you can do a nice, it's nice that it has Google search for finding points of interest and local destinations. It's a really nice system to just be able to search like that. But you can also pull up hotspots like restaurants and gas stations, and then you can set your points of interest. So like you can save your home address, your work address, things like that. Like you can see down here, for example, the office is pre-programmed into this vehicle. It'll automatically pull up your route and take you to that destination. So now you can see when we go back to the home screen, we have our navigation pulled up on the left, which will show our destination, and then media shows up on the right, so it kind of does this split screen. Any of those menu items we just went through, you can also bookmark in here in your My Menu area, so you can get to them a little bit quicker if that's what you'd like. We have different buttons down here to quickly swap to different menus, so you can hit media, it'll quickly pull you into the media settings, radio, quickly take you over to radio. And then you have your map. You can just pull up the navigation system to enter destinations, map if you just want to see a full screen view of the map. And then we also have our media controls and info and phone down here, our CD player, and then just continuing to move on up, we have our climate control based here. So when you adjust these settings, they will show up on the display up here. So as I turn the temperature up, it will show up there. And then fan speed up and down here, off for the AC, just to completely turn it off. Automatic, adjust where the fans are blowing. Toggle AC on and off. A nice beautiful clock on the inside here, nicely finished. Sync system to sync the temperature between the driver and the passenger. Filter air from the inside or recirculate air. And then this just brings up climate controls within the navigation system here, which has a very nice little graphic here. Then you have your front defrost here, which will toggle on your front fans, and it'll crank those up a little bit to get the defrost going right away, along with a rear defrost, and your heated mirrors are tied to that as well. Overall, a pretty nice layout in the middle. It is a little dense on buttons, but it doesn't take long to learn it. They are pretty intuitively laid out, and they all sync well with this touchscreen system, so it really it does make a lot of sense, but it does take a little time to get used to it. And for new passengers in your car, it might be a little overwhelming at first. Then just quickly coming over to the passenger side here, we have, again, your AC vents, your tweeters. The door pretty much mirrors the driver's side. You have a lock, unlock, and a window control there, which is automatic as well. And obviously ample amounts of legroom in this vehicle, with a nice locking glove box with actually pretty adequate storage in there as well. Finally, down here looking in the center, at the top here we have some storage space along with two 12-volt outlets, a USB port and an auxiliary port, and just a nice little storage cubby there. Then moving down here we have your shifter. You can pull it down to drive and pull to the left to enter manual mode, where you can slap it forward to upshift, pull it down to downshift, or you can use the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. Then down below here we have our drive mode selector. So when you press that, it shows up here in the top of the display system. So right now we're in eco mode, which will keep you in higher gears and keep your RPMs lower to help conserve fuel. It decreases the sensitivity of the throttle as well. And then hit it one more time, you enter sport mode, which will keep you in lower gears, so you're always in the power band, as well as make the throttle a little bit touchier and the steering gets heavier. And then finally you just have normal mode, which is what the vehicle will start up in. And then next to this you also have auto hold, so if you're at a red light, when your foot is on the brake, you can press auto hold, and then you can let your foot off the brake and it will just hold your vehicle in position until you hit the gas again, which is kind of a nice feature. And then down here we have your heated and cooled seats, 3-stage for each. Hit to the left, and these LEDs here will light up red for heated seats. To the right they light up blue for cooled seats. And then here we have your heated steering wheel button. You can activate or deactivate your parking sensors here, and then the heated and cooled seats for the passenger. So quickly coming up top in the mirror, we have settings for what's called Blue Link, which is a Hyundai service for traffic, so you can find out traffic information, or it kind of acts like an OnStar in case you get into an accident and need help. You can use that, or the SOS button to call for emergency services. The power button turns on or off your auto dimming mirrors. And then you have 3 different settings for home link, so you can sync up your garage door openers with these to open and close your garage door, so you don't need the bulky thing there sitting on your visor. Moving up here we have a storage compartment for sunglasses, as well as reading lamps, which are full LED throughout the vehicle, which is a nice touch. And then we have our visor here to open the sunroof. So we can pull that back and open up the nice panoramic sunroof. Then here we have a toggle to turn on all the reading lamps within the vehicle. We'll close the sunroof again. Then next here we have a option to toggle whether or not the lights turn on when the door is open within the vehicle. And finally here, this controls the sunshade, which is a split sunshade that will meet in the middle when you close it. Nice simple system there. Overall, this interior is laid out to be very intuitive and very simple. It's obviously, as you can tell from this video, very dense with features. There is a lot to this car, and there's a lot of very useful features, but overall it's really laid out in a nice, simple, elegant way that's very easy to find your way through it. Alright, so let's hop on in the back seat here. As I close the door, you probably can notice how much quieter the interior is compared to all the road and wind noise that's outside. Overall, this vehicle is excellent in blocking out outside road noise. It is very, very quiet and isolated inside this vehicle, and it is just absolutely a very nice environment to be in. And this back seat is nothing to complain about either. You can see here there is plenty of legroom with some nice storage in front of me here with the back seat. This front seat is actually back farther than my normal driving position even, and I still have a solid probably 6 to 9 inches maybe of knee room here. There's plenty of room back here, and the back seat is nice and comfortable. It has a little bit of bolsters to kind of hold you in place, and it's definitely a very, very comfortable seating position for being a bench seat. This vehicle is equipped with 3-zone climate control as well, so you can control hot or cold back here, as well as fan speed, but it does only come through these 2 vents. There are no other vents back here, which is a shortcoming that some other cars that this would compete with, such as like an E-Class or an S-Class or a BMW 5 Series, would have additional vents, or like have vents in the pillar here. So that is one shortcoming, but overall this back seat is very, very nice. We'll look at the passenger door so you can see what the doors look like, but still very, very nice. Wrapped in leather throughout with genuine glossy wood accents, and your Lexicon branded speakers there. And then the contrast piping of the seats, that theme continues back here. Nice beautiful black seats with the light headliner. Right now the sunroof is closed, offers a very, very nice environment in the back seat as well. There are manual sunshades in the back seat as well, which is a nice feature to have, which is consistent with what you would find in some of the vehicles this is competing with. So if we open up the center here and fold this down, this takes up the entire middle seat here and kind of creates a dual person back seat here, which offers two nice cup holders. But the best feature of this is this enables the heated seats for the back, as well as this gives you the control of that rear sunshade. So this is essentially Hyundai's implementation of a full center console coming all the way to the back seat. Is by folding this down, you eliminate that middle seat back here, and then you get access to some of these controls. The downfall, however, is that if you're back here, the only way to turn on these heated seats is by folding this down and gain access to these buttons. So as much as I like this and how it kind of splits it into a nice 4-person car and makes it feel a little more luxurious, having that center console-esque fold down, it would be really nice to have the heated seats over here so that you can activate those if you happen to have 3 people back here, or you have something here that won't allow you to fold down and take up that center seat. And then just to quickly note, back here is also a pass-through that goes straight back to the large trunk, so you can do a minor pass-through there, or else you can fold down this back row of seating as well. Alright, so let's get out and take a quick look at the trunk, and then we will take a tour of the exterior of the vehicle, and then we can go ahead and take a quick test drive. So you can just lower the sunshade, just retracts down into the door like that. And again, out here too, you can kind of start to see the sides of the car, where those back doors are nice and large, as well as the front doors offers lots of room. So one nice feature of the trunk of this vehicle is that even when the car is locked, as long as you have the keys on you, you can walk up to the trunk and stand close to it, and it will detect the key fob. It will chime a couple times and then automatically open for you. And it opens all the way up. So this is very nice if your hands are full with groceries or you just got done shopping. You walk up to the vehicle, it'll open for you, and you can set your bags down. Inside, you can see this is a pretty adequate sized trunk. Plenty of room for golf bags, things like that, and the second row does fold down flat to extend the storage. Unfortunately, the trunk is not powered closing, so you do have to close it manually. That would be one nice feature to have in a car in this class. Alright, so let's take a quick tour around the exterior of the vehicle. First, we'll start up front and pop the hood. Here we are popping the hood. Overall, a very large engine bay, as this model can also fit a 5-liter V8 in select markets, but that V8 only comes with rear-wheel drive. So up here in Minnesota, most of these models will be equipped with the 3.8-liter naturally aspirated V6 that you see here. This engine produces 311 horsepower, 293 pound-feet of torque, and is connected to Hyundai's H-Track all-wheel drive system. As we close the hood, you can really start to see just how large the hood of this vehicle is. It really gives it a premium look with that outstretched nose. So as we come around here, looking at the front, we see another Genesis logo with the beautiful detail work of that inlay there with that shield. Just a very, very beautiful logo. Then in the middle here, we have some sensors for radar for your adaptive cruise control and forward collision warning. We also have front parking sensors throughout the vehicle and headlight washers. And then here we have our bi-xenon projector headlights with your halogen high beams and then LED accent lighting. Overall, very, very nice looking. Then here, this model is equipped with 18-inch wheels. One thing to note That's kind of a cool little detail, is that the center caps here are actually inlaid with carbon fiber. This car really does pay a lot of attention to little details like that, really make it a treat to explore. Now with the engine turned on, you can see the bi-xenon headlamps along with the LED accents here. You can ignore the flickering, that's just a trick that the LEDs do with cameras based on refresh rate and a bunch of stuff like that. So don't worry, it doesn't actually look like that in person. But then you have your amber turn signals in there. And coming across the door, you will have your turn signals in the mirror as well. And then here you can start to get a perspective of how large this vehicle is. It really does stretch for quite a ways. A large hood, a large trunk, and a large back seat. It really is a big vehicle, and it'll be interesting to see how it drives once we get inside and take it for a spin. Here you can see the branding for the 3.8 liter V6 with the H-Track for the all-wheel drive system. You can see your LED taillights. Got some cool little accents in them along with your turn signals. Those taillights then wrap back along the vehicle there. Overall, objectively, they're pretty nice looking taillights, but some people may have different opinions. On the back, you have the only Hyundai logo on the entire vehicle, and then you have your Genesis emblem down here. And then down here, you have nice large beauty panels hiding the exhaust tip to make it look a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more refined. And then some reflectors, and of course, rear parking sensors as well. The backup camera is hidden down here, and you have your license plate lights here, which are also LED, as all the lights throughout the entire vehicle are LED other than the high beams and the headlamps, which are by Xeon. Then on the driver's side of the vehicle, we have the gas cap, which is not accessible from the outside, which is kind of a nice safety feature that some people like. You can pop that from inside the vehicle. And in here, we have a 20-gallon fuel tank with your normal locking lid there. Hyundai does recommend premium fuel with this vehicle, so just keep that in mind. Even though it is naturally aspirated, it is still recommended that you run 91 octane or better. When it's all cleaned up and in direct sunlight, this color starts to have a little bit of a blue hue to it, which is a really nice touch. But overall, it's just a very, very nice metallic color. Alright, now let's explore the driving characteristics of the Genesis. One of the first things you'll notice upon entering the cabin is how quiet it is. Especially once you start driving, and there's very minimal road noise, there's essentially zero wind noise. It's just a very, very quiet cabin that just seems well put together. There's no like creaks and rattles, and as you know, this is a 2015, so it's a few years old now, so overall it's held up pretty well. It's been a pretty solid interior. As for the driving characteristics, it definitely handles more like what you would want a luxury sedan to handle like. It's not a sports sedan, it's not going to be fun to take on a back road per se. Overall, the steering is, in normal mode, the steering is pretty light and kind of disconnected from the road. The car doesn't react super quickly to your minor inputs. Just a little turn on the wheel doesn't have much effect on the car. But overall, it's easy to place within the lane. It's easy to hold inside a turn. Once you put the vehicle in sport mode, the steering becomes quite a bit heavier, and the car kind of essentially stiffens up. The throttle becomes a lot touchier, and it starts to act a little bit more sporty, but it's still by no means a sports car in sport mode. One thing I did notice driving in sport mode though is the system, even with the all-wheel drive, there's still quite a bit of understeer, which is unfortunate, but in a vehicle this size that can be pretty common. I just had hoped that having all-wheel drive would help it overcome some of that understeer, but unfortunately that's not really the case. So that brings us into the all-wheel drive system. The all-wheel drive system here is called H-Track, which is a Hyundai branded and developed system. Overall it's pretty good. It's not I would say it's not as good as like an Audi Quattro system, which has obviously a great reputation in the car world, but it's adequate. It handles inclement weather, whether that be rain or snow, or even if you're on a gravel road, for example. It handles it well, and you feel confident in driving, but it's not, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's as amazing as some all-wheel drive systems. And like I mentioned, you still have some issues with understeer. As we explored earlier, this vehicle is equipped with the 3.8 liter V6. So just again, as in summary, it has 311 horsepower, 293 pound-feet of torque. Overall, it's a pretty good power plant. Being a larger displacement V6 helps with some of the noise characteristics. It still sounds pretty good. If you want to hear a little bit more about how it sounds, you can check out our POV video where I explore a little bit more about the driving characteristics. You can also, however, get this Genesis equipped with a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 that makes 420 horsepower. However, that model is rear-wheel drive only, so in markets like this in Minnesota, you don't often see any of the 5-liter V8s around. So the engine is paired to a 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a Hyundai source transmission. It is not a ZF transmission like many other 8-speeds on the market. So that's one downfall it has in comparison to something like a BMW 5 Series, which has a ZF source 8-speed. Overall, the transmission shifts very smoothly, especially in normal mode and just cruising around. It's very, very seamless between shifts. You don't even notice it. However, when you put it in sport mode and give it some throttle, it will downshift and drop a couple gears as you expect, but those downshifts aren't always so smooth, and it doesn't always drop enough gears to give you the power you want, as the power band in this engine is pretty high in the RPM range. So there's definitely some tweaks that could be made to this 8-speed transmission going forward by Hyundai to really take it up to the next level and hopefully get it a little bit closer to what you could expect with a ZF 8-speed. So overall, where does this car fit in the market today? It's in kind of an interesting spot where it offers a lot of technology and a lot of features that would be more on par with something like a 5 Series from BMW. It offers adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, lane keeping, and obviously the size of the vehicle really puts it on par with something of the nature of a 5 Series. However, this vehicle is priced a lot cheaper. A well-equipped model could be $20,000 to $30,000 less than a well-equipped 5 Series. So how does this vehicle fit in the market, and are you sacrificing too much to buy this vehicle? I think everyone will kind of have their own opinion on that, and hopefully based on some of the things you saw in this video, you can kind of decide whether or not you feel like there are sacrifices in this vehicle. In my personal opinion, I don't think there are too many sacrifices. I think the main thing you're giving up is the name brand recognition. And that's something that Hyundai has been working on. So, as some of you may know, the new 2016 and up Hyundai Genesis was actually rebranded, and Genesis became a brand, like the luxury version of Hyundai. And the Genesis became a model within the new Genesis brand lineup. It became the G80, and then the Hyundai Equius, which is even a step up from the Genesis, became the G90. So even Hyundai kind of recognizes that people in this professional market who would be buying a large luxury sedan don't exactly want the recognition of the brand name Hyundai per se. To some people that will matter a lot and will affect them, where other people, if you're not so caught up on the brand name, this vehicle can really be a steal. You get a very well-made vehicle, a reliable vehicle, and a lot of technology for the money. I mean, it's very hard to find another vehicle on the market by any brand that can compete with this kind of technology and comfort and size. So in conclusion, this car can be kind of a toss-up, and your opinion on this vehicle really seems to come down to name brand. So I guess we're interested to hear what you guys think. So if you're watching this, please drop a comment down below and let us know what you think of this vehicle. Do you think it is in the right market? Do you think it is worth the money? And if you were able to, would you buy one over a BMW 5 Series and save some money? Let us know your thoughts down below, as we're interested to hear what all of you think. That's just my 2 cents on the car. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Please check out our other videos on our channel, and feel free to subscribe and like this video. We'll see you next time.